Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel. Chelsea Football Club must sack Graham Potter today. I thought the days of watching Chelsea play, 6 things we learn, and then the following video being, we got to get rid of Graham Potter. I thought we turned a corner. I thought I wouldn't be doing this again, but unfortunately, it's to the point of no return now. We have hit an oblivion at Chelsea Football Club that is unacceptable, untenable for Graham Potter under pretty much any circumstance now. It's got to the point where even the most blindly optimistic, project vision, seeing it all from different angles people have basically now agreed that the Graham Potter project at Chelsea Football Club has not worked. And I think it is universally conclusive as a result of what we saw in Chelsea 0, Aston Villa 2, that is in fact the case. So, in this video today, I'm going to talk about why this whole idea of a project has to be looked at in the same vein, but in a different light. I'm also going to talk player ratings from yesterday because when we break down individual performances, it gives us a far more significant overview as to why it hasn't worked. When you look at the vast amount of money that Chelsea have spent, the array of talent within this squad, it is absolutely not okay to be beaten 1-0 at home to Southampton, 2-0 at home to Aston Villa yesterday, which, by the way, Aston Villa are a good side. Unai Emery's come in. I think they've won the second or third most points away from home since he's in charge in the Premier League. They've had some incredible results on the road. They beat Spurs 2-0. Not that that's that difficult, but even we lost to them as well. So many things that we have seen under Graham Potter that just don't scream out the Chelsea that we know. To lose to Spurs is bad enough. It is one of those fixtures where no matter how badly Chelsea's season is going, we will probably get a result against Tottenham because the players turn up and they know what this fixture means to the fans and to the club and to the heritage of everything that is Chelsea. To lose at home to Southampton, a team who are bottom of the league, to dominate them but never look like scoring, is a tragedy. And yesterday, against Aston Villa, it was, the second half in particular, was just a microcosm of everything that has been wrong since Graham Potter took over. Let alone the fact that Thomas Tuchel wins 4-2 on his Bayern Munich managerial debut against Borussia Dortmund. So, the project. Let's discuss this project. When Todd Boehly came in, took over the realms and the reins of Chelsea Football Club from Roman Abramovich, we knew it wasn't going to be plain sailing. Chelsea have gone from 20 years of Roman stewardship. During that time, we had a policy. Hire, fire, win, win, win at all costs. And it worked. It gave me some of the best moments of my life. It gave you some of the best moments of your lives if you are a Chelsea fan the way that I am. So in order for us to get used to something different, first of all, you need to accept that the way that the club was going to be ran was going to be a little bit different. At the same time, you've got a massive excitement for fans because the new owner comes in and with no real guarantees in the psychological brain of our fans, we didn't know if Boehly was going to come in and spend the money to try and put Chelsea on that same pedestal that we've been on for many years, which is competing, signing the best players in the world, and we've spent 600 million last summer and in January, which is a massive sum of money, which indicates to me, even though the ownership is different, the rebuilding of Chelsea Football Club from the Roman Abramovich days into the Boehly era, we have tried to streamline this by making sure that whoever's in charge, Graham Potter, has got the best footballers at his disposal. When you look at the starting 11 for Chelsea yesterday against Aston Villa, Chelsea have got far significantly better footballers all over the field, but the one thing that is categorically clear, that Aston Villa manager's been in the job even less time than Graham Potter, but the identity of Aston Villa, the know-how of how to go out there and win a football match against your opponent is leagues above what we have seen from Graham Potter. So, I saw a really good tweet from CFC Daily expressing how, if this is a project, how on earth, since we sign all of those players in January, have we only seen back-to-back matches with the same front three once? And that was a win against Leeds with Sterling, Havertz and Felix, and then a win against Dortmund with the same starting 11. Yes, okay, Raheem Sterling's been injured during this time, but you spend 100 million on Noni Madueke and Mykhailo Mudryk, players who we're supposed to believe should be bled in slowly into the team. Yesterday, Mudryk couldn't get on the ball. What is it that Graham Potter is doing to implement whatever strategy it is to involve these players who have the ability to make a difference in the final third? The answer to that question is there is nothing new about the way that Chelsea attack. When you've got all of these flashy, shiny toys, it's like you've gone and created a Lego set or a puzzle where none of the pieces match. And I'm not saying here that none of the players match one another, because this is the point we're at now. The players are too good individually that any coach who comes in and tries to formulate some kind of tactical strategy as to how to set up on the field will get a tune out of these players, because they are significantly better than the majority of individual Premier League players and teams. So a new manager can come in and immediately, based off of what we've seen so far, it's not difficult to do a better job than what we're seeing from Graham Potter right now. There is no identity to this Chelsea team. If we talk about those last 10 games since deadline day, we've won 3, drawn 3, and we have lost 4. Todd Boehly, Christopher Vivell, everybody behind the scenes at Chelsea Football Club. There has to be a moment today. There were meetings held last night, apparently. The point now has come where every person involved with football, every fan who has an emotional attachment and investment to this club, is aware that the project hasn't worked with Graham Potter in charge. We can say all we want about the new American owners and they don't know anything about football, but they've spent money on players to help Chelsea try and compete. They now need to understand that the manager they bought in is not the right manager for Chelsea. I think Graham Potter could go to another club with the similar stature of Brighton and Hove Albion, and he could do a good job. He could make a team who should probably be finishing around 15th. They might get 10th, and that would be considered a success. Chelsea should be winning Premier League titles with the squad we have. Chelsea should be competing for Champions League, which granted, we beat Dortmund, we still might win it. You never know. For me to sit here in front of this camera lens with any integrity whatsoever and say that I think Graham Potter could outmaster Don Carlo, Real Madrid, serial Champions League winners, I would be the biggest fool in the YouTube space. I don't believe we can do that. I really don't. And I think the timing of this, to lose at home to Aston Villa after 2 weeks, you've got 2 weeks to formulate a plan to beat Unai Emery's Aston Villa at Stamford Bridge, and you fail miserably. So from this point on, Chelsea have got a very small window of time here before this season is not just like in our brains over, but literally, Chelsea could be out of the Champions League within 18 days from this moment right now. And there is an opportunity window here where Chelsea can sack Graham Potter, bring a new manager in, and even if it doesn't fix everything just like that, because it won't, that is totally, it's not going to work like this. But there is this thing called a new manager bounce. We saw it when Graham Potter came in, and as much as it seems as though that's a very tunnel-visioned way of thinking right now, Chelsea have still got an opportunity here to make this season special. So to keep going with this man who plays the most offensive players in centre-back, who once again, we're trying to just cross the ball, loop the balls into the box when there's no one in there to win it. We are pedestrian with the delivery, and it's got to the point now where it even looks as though the players are just so fed up of it. You know, we've heard all these stories about we're back in, we're behind Potter, we're back in, we're together, with this, with that. It's all words. It's all words. At the end of the game yesterday, Mason Mount is the only player to do a full lap of the pitch and clap everyone off. I think Kepa stayed out for a bit. Koulibaly also stayed out for a bit. The rest of them are down the tunnel. We've even got Belle Silva, Thiago Silva's wife, on Twitter, talking about how it's just got to a point where even the wives of some of the players, the senior players at this club, can't even speak anymore about what's going on, because we're seeing the same things over and over again. And the definition of insanity, I've brought this one up on the channel before, is to do the same things over and over again and expect a different result. So at this point now, Todd Boehly, swallow this pill. Eat that slice of humble pie that we talk about proverbially here on GBFC so frequently. It's not worked. There is a project here, but Potter's not the right man for this project. So without any further ado, we're going to move and segue now into the player ratings from yesterday, because there is a lot of things we could see. As I said, yesterday's second half in particular, a microcosm of all of the problems at Chelsea. Kepa, giving him a 4. He is off his line for the goal, the first goal, the Ollie Watkins goal. And again, you could say that he's given Ollie Watkins all of the best possible opportunities to chip him. He's not fully committed but he's also so far off his line that it's an easy finish for Ollie Watkins. A good one, but an easy one. Second goal, a long shot again. It's a wonder strike from John McGinn. I'm not going to fully shove Kepa under the bus for that, but once again, Chelsea will probably need to go out there and buy a new number one goalkeeper, because Mendy was the number one, lost his place due to Potter. Kepa's come in, there's been great moments, but it's still not upper echelons of goalkeeping. 4 out of 10, Chelsea need a new keeper. Reece James, I've given a 6. Played in centre-back, not his preferred position. Yes, there could be an element of this here where we're thinking he's not fully fit. We've got issues in the right centre-back position due to other injuries for players who cannot play. So let's go with Reece there, and Ruben's done a decent enough job at right wing-back. But then, as the game is going on, Chelsea need a goal. Who is the player, more often than not, that has the capabilities to put the ball in the box or even in the net? Reece James is that guy, and he finishes the game still in right centre-back. So we've not really managed his fitness because he's played another 90 minutes before Tuesday night's game against Liverpool. We'll get onto this in a minute. But once again, Reece James out of position. We know that he's competent as a right centre-back, but it's not where we get the best from him. And when Chelsea need goals, you give yourself the best opportunity by playing the best players in their correct positions. Kalidou Koulibaly, given the role in the middle of the defence to marshal the back line. 3.5 out of 10 performance. Communication with Marc Cucurella for the goal. Yes, it comes off of Cucurella's bonce and then goes into the path of Ollie Watkins. But once more, Koulibaly, central figure in that Chelsea back line. It's a back three. And did he marshal the back line? Absolutely not. There are a couple of times where he's running back because Aston Villa were trying that over-the-top ball again, and he did well to shepherd it back to Kepa. But once more, Koulibaly up and down all season, 3.5. Cucurella, because the ball came off of his head, he gets a 3 out of 10. We have seen a bit of an uptake, a bit of a curve, a redemption arc for Cucurella in recent weeks. And then yesterday, once again, it's just the epitome of everything that's gone wrong at Chelsea. He spent 60 million on a player that Graham Potter has had at Brighton. And even though it was a Tuchel signing, whatever that means, Potter's worked with this guy before, and he's a shadow of the player that we saw at Brighton. Why is that? Is it Chelsea that ruins footballers when we sign them for big money? Or is it just the fact that we're not being managed right now? Cucurella was poor again yesterday. It's a 3. Ruben gets a 4.5. Just so tentative on the ball. When Ruben Loftus-Cheek has it, he's kind of like doing these little shimmies, which because he's tall and big, it makes him look like he's in control. But he's never progressing. He's never taking players on, and the final ball is mediocre at best. And when you've got Reece James sat there in right centre-back with Ruben Loftus-Cheek there, for me, I just don't understand it. You've got Trevor Chalobah and Benoit Badiashile on the bench. Brilliant centre-backs. Even Chalobah, one of the best players we had playing leading up to the World Cup, can't get a sniff now. Why is this manager not picking Trevor Chalobah? Why, when Badiashile has not put a foot wrong in this Chelsea team since he's come in, why is he not getting a sniff now? This all comes back to Graham. Ben Chilwell, I've given a 7, just so that we can balance things a little bit and understand the levels here. Ben Chilwell was the best player for Chelsea Football Club yesterday. Most likely to score, and like I said in 6 Things We Learned, ends the match playing in left centre-back again. You nullified any chance we had of scoring. We didn't look like scoring towards the end of that game. When Chilwell would get the ball, he had a fantastic touch over his shoulder, by the way, and then just drags one wide. The finishing's still not great, but still, he's getting into good positions. He looks the most likely. And then Graham Potter's watching, we think, the same game that all of us are watching. How is it that the entire social media world of football, even my friends who I'm in multiple group chats, they're messaging me, they're in the stands and they're like, how does Pulisic come on and then Chilwell end up in left centre-back when he's been the most likely to score the whole game? We're watching a different game to Graham Potter here. It's not just the lineup that we can be frustrated with yesterday, the in-game management as well. How on earth, when anyone who's watched Chelsea enough can see most potent with Reece on the right wing-back, Chilwell in the left wing-back. We're brilliant when those two are playing in those positions at times. Yeah, still we can't finish. We know that. That's been a case for a few years. But how do they both end up the furthest back? It blows my mind. We move into Enzo. 5.5 for Enzo Fernandez. We know the ceiling of this man is incredibly high. He tried to make things happen again yesterday. He does look incredibly composed on the ball. There were times yesterday when Aston Villa would rush and flood to try and counter Chelsea, to win the ball back early in the midfield. Douglas Luiz, good player. They marshalled us. They had our number yesterday. And I think when Enzo isn't at his best, we can see right now that these Chelsea players, there's a lack of leadership out there. And if Enzo Fernandez is someone that we can look to who can dig in and make something happen, if he's not doing it, then who is? And a lot of that comes down to the man management from Graham Potter. You've got to instill a belief that there is a way that Chelsea can beat teams when we're struggling. To go 1-0 down and know we're going to lose over and over again is due to an ingrained mentality issue. Not saying that it's Enzo Fernandez's fault. The man only signed on the flipping 1st of February or whatever it was, and that was 2 months ago. And he's already made a bigger impact than virtually any player in the squad all season long. Kovacic have given a 5. Once more, a couple of wayward shots. Shooting, just blazing it over the crossbar. He's been in good goal scoring form recently, but he didn't carry that on yesterday when Chelsea desperately needed it. Mykhailo Mudryk, 3.5. And I think when we're thinking and talking about spending all that money, again, it always comes back to spending all that money. That statement right there, spending all that money. We need to be seeing better results than this if we're spending all that money. Mudryk, first touch is non-existent. Positional awareness, he can make some good runs at times, but he's not being found by his teammates. But he's operating centrally. Ashley Young, how old is he? 38? Something like that? Mykhailo Mudryk is the fastest player officially in the Premier League. You've got a 38-year-old right back for Aston Villa, and you're not lining up Mudryk directly against him to try and get him the ball to run. Look at what Chilwell did yesterday. He was round the back of Ashley Young every 5 minutes. But yet Mudryk is lurking in the middle, waiting for an opportunity, and when he does get it, the finishing is shocking. So to not just blame the way he's been lined up and the way he's been asked to operate through the middle predominantly, the finishing was also poor. And at the moment, you know, people can criticise him because of the fee, but he also, it's just not good enough out there on the pitch. But the problem is, we spent so much on him. And at the minute, when we're segueing in a second into talking about what managers could come in and fix this for Chelsea, I think it's got to be someone who plays with natural width, will play players in their actual positions. I mean, I can do it on Football Manager. Why can't you, Graham Potter? Kai Havertz, 4.5. Nice little link-ups at times with Joao Felix. But once more, when Havertz isn't on it, the finishing's poor. Involvement, no, nothing. Joao Felix are given a 6.5. Moments of finesse, of brilliance on the ball. He can take any player on in the world, Joao Felix. But yesterday, once more, overall, Chelsea beyond profligate in front of goal. And at times, we have to admit, Graham Potter can't put the ball in the net. But the amount of looped crosses into the box yesterday, where Konza and flipping Tyrone Mings, the Aston Villa centre-backs, winning everything. Absolutely everything. But we keep the monotonous repetition of the same movements once more. So, yeah. When you look through there, you've got 6.5 for Felix, 7 for Chilwell, 6 for James. There was some good performances. Chelsea dominated Aston Villa yesterday. Potter gets a 0.5. And, yeah, only just wanted to give the number 5 key on my keyboard some action because I don't really use it very often. Could have been a 0. Once more, substitutions. You've got to change the positions of some of the players on the field, but he changed them in the wrong way. Pulisic comes on. Just stick everyone up front. We're 2-0 down at home to Aston Villa. I'd rather lose 4-0, but try and score a couple of goals to get back in the game, than tentatively attempt to go and what are we doing? What are we doing? Kante, 5.5, comes on. Could tell he hasn't played football for 7 months, but he's everywhere again. Excellent. He'll get better. Noni Madueke, 5.5 as well. At least tried to make something happen. The bigger problem from yesterday's game is, yes, Chelsea need to sack Graham Potter now. It's not worked, and we got 2 weeks here to salvage something. So I think we need to act now. And at the same time, there are 3 managers potentially, I think, that could come in. And I'm not 100% convinced by any of them. Julian Nagelsmann, readily available, just got sacked by Bayern Munich. Was doing all right, but not by Bayern standards apparently. Hansi Flick, ex-Bayern Munich manager, and Luis Enrique. First of all, Flick, he's got the Euros coming up in Germany next year for Germany. I don't see him leaving now. Luis Enrique would play with a 4-3-3. We'd probably see Mudryk playing on the left wing, which would be nice. And I think he could get Chelsea playing some good football. He's out of a job too. And then there's Julian Nagelsmann. All right, we started this video discussing the project. We started this video talking about Todd Boehly's desire to see Chelsea become more sustainable. Julian Nagelsmann is one of the best up-and-coming young coaches in Europe. The job he did at Bayern Munich, don't be fooled by the sacking, was pretty good. At the same time, there were moments where they just weren't scoring anywhere near enough goals, considering the players they've got in that team. And my concern, and the big problem with Nagelsmann, is I think Chelsea fans, myself included, I don't think we're ready, to be honest, to accept mediocrity anytime soon. And I don't think if Nagelsmann was to come in, it would immediately see a massive uptake. I think we could get a buzz between now and the end of the season to maybe knock out Real Madrid and then somehow probably end up against Thomas Tuchel's Bayern Munich and get battered. But with Nagelsmann, it would take time to work. When it comes to me saying that Chelsea need to sack Graham Potter today, I also don't have a definitive answer as to what would make us better immediately, which is a scary thought, really. It really is, because I think the issues we have right now stem from the way that Potter's lining us up, the pathetic excuses that get given in press conferences. The fans have lost him. The players seemingly seem to be losing it as well. We're in a very horrible position right now. I can argue that this is probably worse than the 15-16 season with Mourinho. It feels worse because the disconnect and the discord between so many new players, so much lack of identity, a manager who, in my opinion, does not have a clue what he's doing and is beyond out of his depth at this football club. It's a horrible position for us to be in. And unfortunately, when I look at those three, Pochettino is also potential as well, but I just don't want Poch at Chelsea. I really don't. And I don't think he is at the level of management that Chelsea expect. I don't think Pochettino wins us a trophy. I don't think Pochettino elevates this squad to a better position. I really don't. Nagelsmann, I think with time, and again, this just sounds so ridiculous for me to say, with time I think Nagelsmann could work, and now that he's available, he's worked with Christopher Vivell before. That meeting that was held last night, reportedly from Chelsea, they're considering Nagelsmann. If you're having a meeting after that result to Aston Villa, you've got no choice but to sack him, because to walk out of that room and still think, all right, we'll give him some more time, is lunacy. It's pure lunacy. That is my final point in this video today. If that meeting happened last night, he's got to be gone today. End of story. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button, subscribe to GBFC if you are new and haven't already done so. He's got to go. Come on, you Blues.